in the Galilee, and today is the 27th of June. It's 9:19 in the morning, and it's hot. We're back in the thick of it again. It's horrible. The weather in Israel is just horrible. You got, if you're lucky, 3, 4, 5 months, depending on the year, that are good. Rest of the time it's miserable. 95 is the high. Tomorrow 96. Then Saturday we go to 94. Then Sunday, Monday, Tuesday we drop down, and then it goes back up again. So at least we get a little bit of a break from the horrible heat. So our electric company warned us. The electric company is a company. It's a national company. So it's a monopoly, you might say, right? And they said that if the power goes out from the war in Lebanon, don't think it'll be 2 or 3 days. It could be a week. So in this heat, imagine that, huh? Oh, I'm telling you. So what we'll do today is I'll take you through the current events. America made a huge move against Russia, which I'm reasonably sure is going to provoke Russia to something. That Russia can't sit still. It's actually a move with sanctions, and I'll cover it with you. And it's rather serious. I'm a little bit surprised Biden did it, but it looks like Biden is trying to clean house with his enemies. He's pretty much got China on the back burner, but there's perhaps 200,000 or way over 100,000 troops in the Asia-Pacific area. I think it's over 200,000. And they have a reasonable amount of Navy ships, and they have aircraft and everything, bases. So I think that they're not provoking China as much as they can. I think they probably believe China is not going to do much, but I think they're wrong. So let me jump into the chat and make sure we got sound and picture, do a couple of posts up there, and then we'll get started. We give people a chance to come in, and we'll get going in a minute. There we go. Okay, we got sound and picture. We'll get started. And in terms of Bible prophecy subjects today, if you guys have any suggestions or something you want me to cover in Bible prophecy, put it up in the chat, or you could send me an email if you want to stay more anonymous. And if it's anything, that looks relevant, I'll cover it today. Okay? I think that's what I'm supposed to do today. Okay, I'll just be a minute or two putting up some chats in the post, so don't go away. We got some really good current events. We're going to talk about the day after when the war's over in Gaza, and we're getting some surprises about that. Give me a chance and we'll get there. I'm not going to be a long time, so if you run away, you're going to miss out on all this stuff. And I doubt you're going to get this news from regular news sources. We're going to cover the attacks on Gaza that the Iraqis and I don't know somebody else, the Hezbollah or something, said they conducted. But I'm going to cover all that with you. Okay, I'm almost finished now. I'm going to put my email address up there so you guys could email me if you want me to cover a certain subject or topic, or you have questions relating to the Bible or current events. I can do that too. I don't have a Bible topic picked out today, which is unusual, and I think I'm supposed to ask. Okay, I'm just about done. A few seconds only, and I'll be ready. Okay, let's see if anybody put up anything. Somebody says that the prophecy has fooled simple-minded buffoons. That's what fascinates me. Okay. So I will take subjects. You can send them to me by email. My email is up at the top of the chat. It's highlighted in a yellow. And I put offering information up and pinned it at the top. So being a Bible-believing site, I'm going to do some praise. If you join in or not, that's up to you. I have no control. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 Okay, we'll start with the news, and I'll be checking the chat if people want to submit a Bible subject or a current event subject they want covered, or tying current events to Bible or whatever. I'll be happy to deal with it, so long as it's something that pertains to the prophecies of Israel, or something that's puzzling you. Maybe I can handle it. Otherwise, I don't know. Okay, so what did America do? They slapped sanctions on Putin that work like this. Putin was using other countries to receive money for him, like for oil and gas and other things they sell. And the other countries, because there's sanctions on Putin, the other countries would receive the money and then forward it to Putin. They probably took a small service fee, but I don't know that. And then Putin could reciprocate with favorable prices on oil and gas or weapons and so forth. Okay, so America said Putin could not use the SWIFT money transfer system, or the IBAN, I suppose, is also blocked. That I don't know for sure. That's in Europe, but the SWIFT would be the big one. And if any other country helps Putin by receiving and transferring money, to and fro Russia, so Russia could send money to the other country, I suppose. Well, I don't think Russia can, but anyway, they have intricate ways of doing it. So the Treasury Department sanctions basically if any other country is helping Russia bypass the sanctions and use the money transfer system internationally to receive payments or money, then they will put the same sanctions on that country that they put on Russia. In other words, they will not be able to use any of the international banking, which is devastating to them. Okay? And I think some countries already stopped helping Russia. They were a little nervous about this. Now, why is Biden doing this? Because Putin is rallying up people through BRICS to conduct business amongst themselves with their own currency they're going to concoct, and Putin's setting up his own money transfer system, which to the best of my knowledge is not yet in place, and they'll bypass the US dollar and possibly the euro. So this is painful for America because it reduces the demand for the dollar. People would be buying the dollar to make purchases for oil and gas, and it would keep the demand for the US dollar high, and the value would be reasonably strong. But now they're reducing the demand, like Saudi Arabia already said they're not going to conduct business for oil, and I'm assuming natural gas, in euros or US dollars. And this is the kind of thing in the past America goes to war over. So Putin is probably not going to be able to smack together his BRICS payment system very quickly. And this is going to cause a terrible financial mess for Russia. It could bankrupt them. The ruble is already down in value. I imagine it's going to be sinking. So Putin, if he does nothing, he's as dumb as Biden, and he's not that dumb. He ain't smart. The Bible tells us the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord, and he has no fear of the Lord, so he's not smart, but he's not all that stupid either. So he's going to try to do something to get out from this buried alive economically plan that the Biden administration has cooked up. I am not of the opinion that Biden any longer conducts being the head of the United States government. My opinion. He seems to go in and out. He can't find his way off the stage. He's got some problems. So his administration runs things for him. I'm quite sure. Predominantly his new chief of staff and Secretary of Defense Austin and the security guy Jake Sullivan and his Secretary of State Blinken, and they have others running other compartmentalized functions of the government. And we don't know if Biden is, running things through the Biden administration, or if Obama is just making people think that, and he's emerging publicly in the last month or so, probably as a result of trying to support Biden's getting reelected. And this is rather normal and typical for former presidents to do. There's nothing unusual here. So Putin BRICS is not a nothing. It's not much now, but it's getting there. So you're telling me I have Tourette's syndrome? Well, we don't need you here. Oh, wait a minute. I think he was talking about Biden. I reversed I blocked him and I reversed it. Okay. Oh, we got somebody from Russia. That's nice. Okay, so Putin's got to make a move or he's going to keep suffering. And It appears one of his next moves is going to be overwhelm Ukraine. He's up to 800,000 or 900,000 soldiers in or near Ukraine. So I imagine his plan is to swarm in with air cover, missile cover, tank cover, etc., and push all the way over to Kiev and take over Kiev, and then the Ukrainian government would be basically collapsed, and then his hope would be that NATO and the EU just say, well, heck, we lost Ukraine. They forget it, and Putin goes about his business and things simmer down in Europe, and it's not going to happen. They're scared of Putin, they're scared of BRICS, they don't want to see the euro go in the toilet, Britain doesn't want to see the pound go in the toilet, and all of this stuff. So it's most likely NATO will put several 100,000 troops into Ukraine when they see that the invasion is imminent. Now, Putin says in retaliation for America working with Ukraine on that attack on the beach where several people were killed and quite a few were wounded, he's going to destroy the railroad system from Poland to Ukraine and maybe others. This railroad system is used to transport weapons from Poland into Ukraine. Putin said that days ago, and he still hasn't done it. Iraqi, Iran-backed militias, and I think Hezbollah, there's two of them, said they did a joint attack on the Israeli port of Haifa. The Israeli government said nothing about it. Now, Haifa is the third largest city in Israel. It's got to have at least 500,000 people. It's very big. It's very hard and confusing to navigate through Haifa. And a lot of Haifa is built up on hills, small mountains, if you will, like San Francisco. And you could look down and see the water in the port. People's houses are up there and stuff like that, right? So if the port of Haifa was hit, there would be tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people that would see it. And we would have it in social media, in the mainstream media, and it's just not there at all. Nothing. So, as far as I could tell, it hasn't been hit. Now, they might have attempted to hit it and the drones just fell in the water or something like that, with the missiles. I think they were using drones. They fell in the water, and that's that. They lie, you know. They lie. So the Eisenhower aircraft carrier is moved from Greece to Crete. A very short distance, my guess 30, 50 miles. But a little bit closer to Lebanon, not much. Why would they move? Because Turkey is starting to tell Hezbollah in Lebanon that they'll help them attack Cyprus. Now, Turkey hates Greece. They're enemies. So they're probably afraid that Turkey might start moving on Greece or something like that. So they wanted the aircraft carrier away from potential targets. Crete, as far as we know, is not a target, but now it might be. We don't know. So I still think that the U.S. aircraft carrier Eisenhower and a destroyer with it some days ago was damaged. I think the Eisenhower was attacked 3 times. And one time it had to pull in for repairs in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. So it might still be getting repairs. out by Crete. Maybe Greece didn't have a shipyard that can do what they needed, so they moved it to Crete. If it was able to travel from the Red Sea up there, it's not that seriously screwed up. They say that the Eisenhower is going to stay in the Middle East area for a while, and it was supposed to leave when the next aircraft carrier pulled in, which is supposedly to be the Theodore Roosevelt, which is coming from Asia. But I also was reading that the Gerald Ford was coming too. But America is rather veiled in their revelations about what warships are going where. So we don't know for sure until they show up. The Eisenhower is here. And they're, still 500 to 600 miles away from Beirut, Lebanon, which is, anybody's going to tell you, it's beyond the striking range of missiles coming from destroyers and missile cruisers that might be accompanying the Eisenhower. So it would have to get closer than that. But I think they're afraid of doing that because they did have the aircraft carrier hit. The Houthis hit an MSC ship in the Indian Ocean the other day, and they said they hit it under Saudi Arabia in the Arabian Sea, and much closer to the Indian Ocean, and they hit it with a hypersonic missile. So America could be trying to keep their aircraft carriers quite a ways away from Yemen. And the confusing part of that is they're going to deploy, so they said, it may not be the case, the Theodore Roosevelt aircraft carrier in the Red Sea. Now, if they were all the way up at the northern part of the Red Sea, maybe they couldn't be hit easily, but I don't know that. Maybe they could. And that's where the Eisenhower was attacked, so I don't understand their logic, but that's what we're hearing. While the Houthis or Houthis in Yemen have stopped shipping, for the most part in the Red Sea, now they're beginning to expand into the Indian Ocean, Arabian Sea, Sea of Aden, and other places, and interfere with more shipping. Get rid of these people. Yeah, someone said Obama's could be is having a third term with Biden. It could be the case. Yes, North Korean soldiers are headed to Ukraine. That's been talked about for a long time. We haven't gotten any reports that there's signs of them moving. There's basically, they're going to have to move initially by ship, I believe, although maybe they can use trains. But it's going to be detectable, I think. And it'll be like 100,000 troops, which is not a little they're the troops. So, in Ukraine, we still get the same usual things. Ukraine kills a lot of Russian soldiers kill a lot of Ukrainians, and they go back. So far, NATO has not deployed boots on the ground of any substance inside Ukraine. They're talking about it. They haven't done it. So we'll switch to Hezbollah. The amount of missiles, rockets, and drones coming into Israel from Hezbollah is down 80 to 90% depending the day. Now, I don't think this is any, sign that Hezbollah wants to get into a ceasefire peace deal with Israel. It's that when their people stick their head up out of the ground in Lebanon, anywhere near the Israel border, they get killed. So they're not able to really do much in terms of launching. Yet Israel still flies in, even rather deep into Lebanon, and is attacking targets that pertain to Hezbollah to make it easier for our soldiers to invade. Israel's probably going to wait till America has more aircraft carriers here. There's an outside chance that Hezbollah is just milking this out, and once Israel starts their invasion, they might say, okay, we'll move back to the Litani River. I give it 10% chance. The rat of Hezbollah named Nasrallah had to leave his underground rat hole and relocate to a new one because his intel people told him Israel knows where it is and they're going to try to kill him. I'll be back in a minute. America, not being the brightest light in the harbor, may have gotten it into their head that once Israel finishes Rafah, which is just about happened, that things may calm down and they just take a posture of, well, it's over. we lost, and let's move on. That's not going to happen. And Rafah could be over in days. Now, Netanyahu might be staging the war to drag on in Rafah until the other aircraft carrier gets here. I don't know. Biden withholding the bombs. Now, that's an interesting one. 3,500 heavy bombs. Now, Israel didn't need them to finish up in Gaza. Gaza's about over, okay? And Israel probably wants those to use in Lebanon, and Biden's refusing to give them to him. So Gallant, who's no longer part of our war cabinet, I think he has a seat in the Knesset, that's it, goes over to see Biden and reports back, oh, I made progress on getting the bombs released, but they're not released. Okay? So what kind of progress? Maybe this isn't real. Maybe America did go way off it. Maybe America did deliver the bombs. And they're doing this debate in Iran. I've explained to you guys extensively that the whole thing starting on October 7th, I believe, was to get rid of Iran. What do they do in Ukraine? If Iran says, yeah, Russia, here's another 11,000 drones, here's 18,000 missiles, and I'm sending 160,000 soldiers over to you. That's a problem. So, Iran's been making so many problems in the Middle East for America, they got to get rid of it. Pressure from Iran is what caused Saudi Arabia to stop selling the oil in US dollar or euros. They're afraid that Iran would unleash the Houthis on Yemen, and they did have a big war in years past. And Saudi did not win that war. Unleash them on Saudi Arabia. Now, in the last year, the Houthis hit the Aramco oil refinery in Saudi Arabia, the biggest one, on 2 separate occasions with missiles. They used, the first time there was 1 missile, the second time maybe 2 or 3. And the first time was several days shutdown, and the second time was maybe a week, 10 days shutdown. That fluctuates oil prices, and it's generally not welcomed by America, Saudi Arabia, and others. And Saudi Arabia watching what the Houthis are doing in the Red Sea, and America doing precious little about it, the UN doing nothing, NATO doing nothing, the UK doing nothing, they're saying, well, wait a minute. What the heck is America going to do if the Houthis attack us? Nothing. So they started dancing to the music that Iran plays, and having, Iran is a military ally of Russia, so they're dancing to Russia's music by proxy, in essence, too. Hold on a second, I gotta see what happened here. I think once you drop something, let's see what it meant. find out. So the UAE is probably going to start doing the same thing anytime now. I don't think they would not. They're very close with Saudi Arabia. They follow Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia doesn't follow them. So it's probably going to happen. They're doing this slowly. They want to, so to speak, boil the frog in water. Getting rid of Hamas weakened Iran tremendously. Getting rid of Hezbollah will put Iran in a very vulnerable position. I think the Houthis will be ignored. They've diverted the traffic out of the Red Sea, so they're going to keep hitting ships. But America's not going to waste their time and energy invading Yemen because Iran's still going to be functioning against them. So they'll hit Iran, cut the head off the snake, and then the Houthis will dry up. The Houthis aren't smart. They'll sit there and think, if they attack us, Iran will come down here. Iran will never go down there to fight America. It's not going to happen. Iran is not strong. If you want to occupy Iran, that would be a problem. They got a lot of tanks, armored vehicles, short-range missiles, things like this, lots of soldiers. It would be a problem. The terrain is rough, mountainous. It'd be hard. But with an air attack, it's a joke. Iran will crumble like a house of cards. That's why they use their proxies. Because their thinking is, the proxy did it, don't bother us. The fact that they train them, give them military advisors, give them the weapons, give them money and support them and control them, they think is going to be overlooked perpetually by the West. They've reached their Waterloo. So this whole thing with October 7th, I think, was designed to drive Israel into the war and weaken proxy 1, Hamas, weaken proxy 2, but Hezbollah. Now comes the militias in Iraq and Syria, which are numerous and quite a few 100,000. And they threaten to attack the American bases in Iraq and Syria if Israel invades, predominantly Iraq, if Israel invades, if Israel, I guess, starts a full-out war, or it would mean invades Lebanon. They're also threatening that the militias will go into Lebanon and fight for Lebanon. Iran is threatening to send their IRGC soldiers over there and fight with Lebanon. So far, they sent nothing. I don't think they will. They might send a few thousand as tokenism to show Hezbollah, how much they love them, but they're just sending them to their death. Hezbollah, if America gets into the fight, the UK will get into the fight, probably a couple other countries like France, Germany, who knows. And it's going to be missile, drone, artillery attacks. Everything's going to come from the air, except Israel's going to do the boots on the ground. After the air attacks demolish the place, the southern area of Lebanon. So what is 30 or 40,000 soldiers going to do, or even 250,000 soldiers? Shoot their rifles at the missiles? What are they going to do? Come into Israel, they'll get bombed. The tanks will rake them over with artillery, mobile artillery will shoot at them. If they get close enough, machine guns will be mowing them down. Helicopter gunships will be mowing them down. Jets will be mowing them down. What are they going to do? And they run the risk of getting blown up when they start forming convoys to go into Lebanon. Israel may bomb them. So they're threatening to send these soldiers, but they haven't. These Muslim terrorist puppet states of Iran, or satellites, have to threaten because they don't have what to deliver with. Our Minister of Defense again reiterated to Hezbollah that they could turn them back into the Stone Age. And he said they could do it in like a half a day. Another reason for the delay is Israel's probably meticulously trying to work this out to stop or prevent many missiles from coming into Israel. This would require a preemptive attack. Now, because Israel said, America said, oh, we'll back you, all the way, well, that could change. One reason America might want to back Israel all the way in Lebanon is to control the destruction. They're probably trying to help France, and they don't want to see Lebanon get obliterated, so they're going to try to contain the damage in the south of Lebanon near the border, where the civilian population, for the most part, practically all have evacuated out of the area. America doesn't give a hoot about killing the Hezbollah and blowing up their outposts and their facilities. They don't care. Hezbollah is a legitimate target. So, America's not going to lose to Hezbollah. I don't see that. Okay? I don't see it. Nasrallah, the head, is a big mouth. He threatened the European Union, he threatens Cyprus, he threatens America, Great Britain, Israel. And then they tell him, ooh, the Israelis know where you're hiding underground in your hole, you gotta change holes. And he runs out and goes into a new rat hole. Come on. His plan is to stay in the rat hole and hope that Iran and other countries come save the day for him. I don't think that's going to happen. They may come, but they're not going to save the day. I would say these are the last days of Nasrallah. Israel will try hard to eliminate this guy. Hard. Their thinking would be his replacement would probably not be as radically right-wing after Nasrallah got killed by the enemy. The Lebanese government is not a Muslim Sharia law government. They are opposing Hezbollah, but they never do anything about it. Now they're sorry. It's too late. They should have stopped them 5, 10 years ago. They didn't. Hezbollah would kill the members of the government that moved against him and their families, and they know that. Israel might use chemical, biological weapons against Hezbollah, depending on the size of the threat level they demonstrate. As I told you the other day, the tunnels and underground bunkers require air to be brought in. So they have fans either at the surface blowing the air in, or they have fans inside the underground tunnel or bunker connected to, like air conditioning ducts. Very, very strong fans, probably a 100-watt fan or some, really big thing. And it would be sucking the air down in the conduits from the street. So, if you were exploding chemical weapons and they kept the fans running, they would be poisoning themselves. If they shut the fans off, they choke to death, no air. It's not hard to figure out. They could use a weapon causing death, and they could also use the old riot gas from the 60s and 70s, which gave you instant diarrhea, cramps like you wouldn't believe in your abdomen, and nausea and vomiting, to the point where the person would be incapacitated for quite a while, maybe 45 minutes, an hour or two. And then they would basically feel crappy, and if they rehydrated and took a shower and cleaned up and new clothes on, I would say by 3, 4, 5 hours later they'd be bounced back. So, if Israel uses such a gas, which is not lethal, basically it's not a war crime. But then, might not care. The court, the ICJ, already put arrest warrants out for him and Gallant, and they didn't really do any war crimes. They may say, what the heck? And use a lethal gas. That way there is no day after. The only thing left is the Lebanese government. The Hezbollah is defunct. What will America say? I didn't know what they did, they didn't tell us. It preserves the landscape and the buildings and all that stuff, which would make France happy, which would make America happy. No, I don't know what they're going to do. It's a possibility. If America bombs Hezbollah in Lebanon with their jets, they're not going to suffer any casualties. Unless they have pilot error or something like that, equipment breakdown. So Hezbollah hides in the tunnels. Then we gas them and they come out of the tunnels and we shoot them. Or they surrender. It's not that difficult to fathom what's going on. So Iran is making a big fuss about this because America's whittling down their power, and then it's going to drop on them. They got to do something about the proxy militias in Iraq and Syria. I don't know what they're going to do. They threaten to attack American bases, so they might play wipeout on their heads when they do that, or attack the bases, and that's it for them. So Lebanon, the Hezbollah gone, severely crippled. The militias in Iraq and Syria severely crippled or gone. That leaves Iran cranking off the Houthis. So America decides to start bombing Iran. America and all her enemies. You know, that's what prophecy tells us in Jeremiah 49. Goodbye, Iran. The people are going to disperse into every country in the world. The day after is when the Gaza war is over. What does Israel do? The right-wingers in the government, Smotrich and Ben-Gvir, want to have Jews go live in Gaza again like they live in the West Bank. Build compounds with soldiers and private security and fences and sensors and all that, and start raising agricultural animals and farming in Gaza. Plenty of Israelis would go down there for cheap land or free land. How do you do that if Hamas is still functional? Pretty scary. So they're trying to get countries to go, Arab countries to go down there, put modest amounts of soldiers there to keep the peace, which would involve making sure Hamas and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad don't launch incendiary balloons or drones or missiles or anything like that. Israel's pursuing something like this with Egypt and the UAE, which is complete moron behavior of Netanyahu. You can't trust Egypt at all. They let Hamas smuggle in massive amounts of supplies and weapons. They'll do it again. And then we hear attacks, we hear things in the media that say none of the Arab states want to clean up Israel's mess for them, let Israel do it. Well, but we also at the same time are hearing that there's talks with the UAE and Egypt about this. The problem is that if they don't curtail Hamas missile launching, Israel maybe bomb them. Probably not, but Israel is also talking to what you might want to call clans in Gaza. These are prestigious, wealthy families, and wanting them to take over the government, not any military. They don't want any military in Gaza at all. Take over the government. Well, as this started months ago, Hamas killed the ones that were talking to Israel about it. The nations are also saying, the Arab nations, that if Gaza's not left in control, they're going to retaliate from the other countries also. They're going to do that until they get Hamas put back in control. So the outlook is dim for any kind of peace. I'll be right back. So what the Arab states are doing is they're taking the defeat of Hamas and turning it into kind of like a permanent ceasefire. They're perverting the whole thing. And the result of that is Hamas is in control of the government, and the border with Egypt will be open, and they'll continue getting weapons from Egypt, and that's it, you know. If that doesn't happen, the other nations, which would be Hezbollah, the Iran-backed militias in Iraq and Syria, and the Houthis, are going to keep stirring the pot and attacking various things. What America wants to see is Hamas defunct and unable to keep fighting. If that happens inside Gaza, they don't care. Now they're talking about an undisclosed number of Hezbollah fighters. Now, who the heck are these guys? Just the leaders, the top 30 or 100 or 300 or 3,000, or we don't know. going to Iraq. First question is, how the heck are they going to get there? The only way to get there would be going to Egypt. And Israel's soldiers have that border closed. So they could excuse me, they could show up to Israel, identify themselves, and prearrange that they could pass into Egypt and then go to Iraq. Egypt's afraid of them. They don't want them in their country. They may go into Egypt and never go to Iraq. They may just, the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt would hide them. They don't want that. So that's not likely to go down. It could, but I don't see it as something likely. What Israel can't do is go in there and kill 20,000 Hamas. They could, but the government, our government won't do it. That would work. So there really, at this point, there is no plan for what happens in the day after. Unless they have a secret plan. So what'll happen, and Netanyahu likes this, because this is the way it'll play out. Israel keeps military there to a limited amount, with some tanks and different things, right? And will tell the people that they can't carry weapons. They got to turn their weapons in. They won't. So then every time they get caught with a weapon, there has to be a penalty. I don't know what they'll do. But they're not going to let the civilians carry their AK-47s and their RPGs in the streets near our troops. They'll have to come up with some plans to strip the weapons. See, if Netanyahu wasn't such a moron, not working with the God of Israel, what they would do is take the weapons from Gaza and what we confiscate in the West Bank and hand them out to the Israeli civilians, the Jews, in case we get an incursion. But Netanyahu is so scared of the revolution, he doesn't want guns in Israel. He wants the people dependent on the government. Netanyahu's moronic, idiotic, evil gun control practices cost the lives of hundreds and hundreds of Israelis on October 7th. A piece of garbage, but the people voted for him. See, a good president with the threat of an invasion from Lebanon, and there's always a threat coming from Jordan or from Syria, should take the old weapons that Israel has from the military and give them to every Jew for free. That would make Israel like the United States. It would be very difficult to invade Israel. Your army would get shredded. When Saddam Hussein was attacking Kuwait, the Emir of Kuwait gave everybody who wanted an AK-47 And they fought hard against Saddam Hussein's forces. When they're trying to invade your territory, they gotta outnumber your forces 3-1. But if almost all the civilians are packing a gun in each house and each apartment, it's really complicated. Because the invading soldiers can't just walk around in the streets. Netanyahu is so bad, you have no idea. So, I don't know what's going to come the day after, but we're getting close to the day after. And I don't think the world wants to see the heads of Hamas going through war tribunal trials and getting executed or put in jail for what they did. If you don't execute them, you're going to have tremendous problems about Israelis being taken hostage to make an exchange for the Hamas mucky mucks in prison. The best way to do it is to blow them up, to kill them. Then it's over. So I don't know how that'll end. I don't think any of us know. Till it happens. Obviously, Nasrallah of Lebanon, with Hezbollah is scared, or he would have done a preemptive attack against us. He's not just scared, he's delusional. The many months of the war could have got him messed up in the head. Like Biden or something, I don't know. So America and her allies will attack Iran pretty soon. It makes perfect sense. First get rid of Hamas, then get rid of Hezbollah. Getting rid of the Houthis is something they probably like to do, but they're not going to waste the time and energy on it. And when they attack Iran, they may very well knock out their oil refineries and the piers where they offload the oil and natural gas into the tanker ships. So Iran doesn't have any oil to sell for a while. And we're going to have to watch on this one. I don't think you got a big weight. Yeshua kept saying, watch. I don't think he meant sit there and keep your eyes up in the sky and wait for his appearing in the clouds. Watch the events. Watch the birth pains. And that's how you know when the time draws near. So if you're not watching, you're not doing what he said. And if you're watching to see him appear in the sky all these years, I would say that you're missing the boat as to what he meant. He didn't mean just stand there and stare at the sky. What's the point of that? Let me see if anybody put any questions up in the chat, because I'm ready and willing to handle them. Yes, somebody said, a channel said North Korea had he's probably going to send 100,000 soldiers to help Putin in Ukraine. That's true. America creates the chaos, yes. Australia, okay. Okay, so you went back to Australia, okay. America's time almost up, yes. Oh yeah. What's the sigma? Hold on, I'll take a look. I'm going to look the word sigma up. I don't know the real definition of sigma. Blackwater there already. You mean Ukraine? Yes, I heard that. Egypt, okay, very nice. Alright, let me look up the meaning of the word sigma in English accurately. And I'll see what you're talking about. I think you're using the Greek word for sign, but let me double check. Okay, it appears to mean the symbol or the sign of the Son of Man. Okay, what the churches tend to not teach is that Yeshua appears in the clouds, and that's called the sign of the Son of Man, which is probably the sigma word in Greek. And that's the same scripture. He appears as lightning from the east to the west, and he's seated on the right hand of power, which is Father God Jehovah. And we see that in Matthew 24, and we get more explicit information about that in Malachi 3 and 4, and specifically in Zechariah 12:10, which should be read with John 6, verse 40. So maybe I cleared up what you're asking me. If I haven't, just ask for further questions, okay? So if anyone else has some Bible prophecy questions or something you'd like to have discussed, throw it up in the chat and we'll jump into it, okay? The things going on in China are pretty much the same with Japan and, North Korea, South Korea, Taiwan. NATO and Europe is pretty much the same. Nothing's going away, but it's not going to peace, and it's not in real full-out war yet either. Let's see what else is going on. Let's see what we got going on right now. Last night we had an IDF officer killed and 16 wounded. They had to get a helicopter extraction to the hospital in Jenin, that's in the West Bank, due to fighting with the terrorists located there. Okay, where am I? Apparently the military coup failed in Bolivia. So that's over with. So Hezbollah is cranking out more threatening videos, trying to scare Israel, What they're trying to do is scare the populace of Israel and put pressure on them. It's not really working. They've been doing that for 50, 60 years with us, The Syrian, back in the 90s, we had trouble with Syria, and the Syrian commando units took in women soldiers and trained them, and they got on Syrian TV. This was before cable or the internet, really. And these Syrian women that were commandos were taking rats and biting the heads off them and then drinking the blood out of the carcass of the decapitated rat. And the Israeli soldiers were laughing at what idiots they were to do that. It didn't scare anybody. There's somebody that says that there's not going to be a day after until Israel's given free rein to do what they want. Israel will just let the war drag on until that happens. Yeah, that's another theory that's got some validity to it. See, a two-state solution isn't going to do anything good for Israel. Nothing. What it's going to do, it's going to enable the terrorist states around us to knock us off easier. That's all. That's all it'll do. It's not going to help us. And that's what Trump wants to see us do. At least he did when he was president. What we got here? The tensions in Israel among the civilian population is very high. Very high. It's been that way for over 8 months. Many men and women, family and friends, have been in activated reserves and not going to work. It's terrible. Every day we take some missiles, you know. The Houthis are testifying that the missile they launched yesterday at the MSC ship Sarah V is a hypersonic ballistic missile called Hatim 2 that runs on solid fuel. This, of course, is an Iranian missile. Maybe they manufactured it in Yemen. The embassies in Lebanon, many of them, of the foreign embassies, have warned their citizens living in Lebanon to get the heck out of town, get out of the country. A lot of times people don't comply. They're now serving the coastline looking for areas where they could, by boat, evacuate these people if need comes. Taking them out by air may not be an option because there might be a lot of missiles and things like that flying around. So I'm ready for questions in the chat if anybody wants to ask anything. Wait, it's almost over. True. Very true. And let me go in my notes for a minute. We got a prayer request for JG, Jack Golf. JG Jack Golf. Or Jack Girl, it's easier. Jack Girl, JG. Success at the job. So JG, Jack Girl, JG, is asking for a prayer for success at his job. Next, we have a prayer for a dog named Shadow. We pray for animals and we get a lot of good results. Shadow the dog is not walking on one of the back legs for unknown reasons. So pray for healing for the dog Shadow, for the leg the dog is not walking on. It could be the joint, it could be there's something stuck in the paw or cut, we don't know. Okay. We're not sure. Let's go to Ezekiel 38:8. Ezekiel 38:8. After many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years. Thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, gathered out of many people, against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. See, after Zechariah 12 is over, the nations and everybody, Israel too, beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Okay? That's what happens. So to think that today is a good day for Ezekiel 38 and 39, the Gog and Magog, is absurd. We're not living in peace. We're not living without walls and fences and bars in the windows, and we're not at rest, and we don't have great wealth and riches. None of this is there. Nobody's going to come here to take the great spoil. So these teachers that teach you Gog and Magog, Ezekiel 38, 39, is for now are only able to work on the people that are really exceptionally stupid or don't read the scriptures or never think of questioning what they hear coming off the pulpit and the guys with the big buildings. Okay? That's the only thing I could come up with, because it's rather absurd. See, Jacob's trouble, it appears only one place. In Jeremiah 30, it says, "Great is Jacob's trouble, and he shall be saved out of it." It really doesn't lend itself to um, Gog and Magog. That doesn't sound like getting saved out of it. Zechariah 12 does. We don't hear of anybody getting into captivity or getting killed in Zechariah 12, except God gets rid of the bad ones in Israel. That we do read of. Isaiah 5:25. Therefore is the anger of Jehovah kindled against his people, and he hath stretched forth his hand against them, and hath smitten them, and the hills did tremble, and their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still. Now, this sounds to me like October 7th. Let's keep reading the next verse. Isaiah 5:26. And he will lift up an ensign, a sign, a sigma, to the heathen from far, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth, and behold, they shall come with speed swiftly. None shall be weary nor stumble. How about that? Everlasting life among them. None shall slumber nor sleep. I don't believe we sleep anymore after that. We'll still be able to die, but not that. Neither shall the girdle of their loins be loosed, nor the latches of their shoes be broken. Reminiscent of the children of Israel leaving Egypt, 40 years they wore the same sandals and the clothes and they didn't wear out. See, people don't, they underestimate the power of Father God Jehovah. They do. How do you do that? How do you stop sandals from wearing out when you're walking all over the place in the desert? I have no idea, do you? I don't know how you do it. I don't know. How do you tell Yeshua you can walk on water? I don't know how you do it. I don't know. Whose arrows are sharp and all their bows bent. Horses' hoofs shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring shall be like a lion, they shall roar like young lions, yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry away safe, and none shall deliver. This is Israel after their change. This is in Zechariah 12. The feeble shall be like David, who killed Goliath and a lion and a bear, and the house of David shall be like the angel of the Lord, who's Michael, who was with the children of Israel in the wilderness, the glory of God of Israel. he killed like 150,000 one day. And in that day they shall roar against them like the roaring of the sea. And if one look into the land, behold, darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkness in the heavens thereof. So when we get this everlasting life, it says that we'll be able to run without getting tired. Even the young kids get tired, but we won't get tired. It says, my people's days shall be like that of a tree. Trees can live 2,000 or 3,000 years. The child shall die 100. First John 3:2, when you see him, you shall be like him. John 6:40, those that believe, that look upon Yeshua, shall have everlasting life. That's not immortality, but you're going to live a long time like people did before the flood, only much longer. And then when you get into New Jerusalem, you eat of the tree of life and drink of the water of life, and you won't die anymore. No death in New Jerusalem is what the scripture says. And this could happen tomorrow, this week, next week, so forth. We're right up there. When this happens, it'll be the day of vengeance, which is contained in the year of recompenses and the year of redemption. Yeshua appearing in the clouds is our redemption. Are we going to have bodies like Nephilim? I don't think so. Samson was incredibly strong like that. He was no Nephilim size. Regular looking guy. I don't think you'll look like Schwarzenegger. I think you'll look like regular people. Pretty certain of it. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. So the spirit is where you're going to get the strength, energy, and power. Not from your muscles or going to the gym. Exodus 25:33. Three bowls made like unto almonds, with a knof and a flower in one branch, and three bowls made like almonds in the other branch, with a knof and a flower. Now, knof is kaftor. What's the best English for that? Let's see what Strong's uses there for English. A wreath of some sort. A wreath. Let's dig into this deeper here for a minute. Three bowls made like almonds. Name of my street is almonds. Huh, I'm curious. Made like almonds. Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm just checking it. What's the name of my street? Street I used to live in years ago. Mevaseretzion was named after olives. in the other branch, in a nof, a wreath, and a flower. So in the 6 branches that come out of candlestick. Let's get into this nof deeper. I think a nof is going to be something like an olive branch. I would think it's like a wreath, but I think it would be a wreath made from an olive branch. So what was going on here in Exodus 25 is we were, for those of you that could grasp it, getting somewhat of an understanding of the 2 witnesses. That's a tough one though, believe me. But it seems that you really have the olive trees and the candlesticks here. The bowl was not an almond, it was just shaped like an almond. And then it goes on, and in the candlestick, that's probably the word menorah, it is, which is the candelabra, not the stick, okay? The translators didn't know what they were doing. Shall be 4 bowls made like unto almonds, with their knofs and their flowers. Does the word flowers really mean flowers? Provoke, bud. Okay. And there shall be a knof under 2 branches of the same, and a knof under 2 branches of the same, and enough under 2 branches of the same, according to the branches that proceed out of the candlestick. Well, this is Zechariah 4 describing the candlestick. And the candlesticks are basically the 2 witnesses. In Revelation 11 it says these are the olive trees, these are the candlesticks. Yeah. Okay, so that's interesting. Let's see. Jeremiah 25:31. A noise. Let's check the words on that. That's suspicious. It's more like a roar. A noise, a roar. Shall come even to the ends of the earth, for Jehovah hath a controversy with the heathen, the nations. He will plead with all flesh. It doesn't say plead, it normally says judge. Shaphat. judge, govern. He will judge with all flesh. He will give them that are wicked to the sword. Give them that are wicked to the sword. So they're going to get killed by the sword too, saith Jehovah. Thus saith Jehovah of armies, behold, evil shall go forth from nation to nation, and a great whirlwind shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. And the slain of the Lord shall be many at that day. That's your Zechariah 12 day, that day, not Gog and Magog. From one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. They shall not be lamented, neither gathered nor buried. They shall be dung upon the ground. Okay. Remember, the Jubilee year in English is in Hebrew Yovel, and the root of the word Yovel is to bring home. That's where every man gets his inheritance back. He's restored to his families and gets his land back. And that's what happens in the year of redemption. So it's likely we're in a Yovel year now. Doesn't exactly look like it, but it could be. Likely, very likely it is. It's an interesting one, Deuteronomy 33:11. Bless Jehovah the substance and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again. Okay, let me give you what we're really doing here. This is about the different tribes, the head of each of the tribe. And this is the blessings, I believe it's Joseph puts on it. And of Levi he said, let thy Thummim and thy Urim be with thy Holy One, whom thou didst prove at Massa, and with whom thou didst strive at waters of Meribah, who said unto his father and to his mother, have not seen him, neither did he acknowledge his brethren, nor knew his own children, for they have observed thy word and kept thy covenant. They shall teach Jacob thy judgments, Jacob's Israel, and Israel thy law. The judgments are the penalties that get imposed on the people that break the law, and what Jehovah would do to the country if they break the law. And Israel thy law, they shall put incense before thee, and whole burnt sacrifices upon thine altar. Bless Jehovah his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Smite through the loins of them that rise against him, and of them that hate him, that they rise not again. That's for Levi. Once the 2,000 years is finished, which is could be today, or, then those things will come into play again. Your recompenses could already be over. I don't know. I don't think so. No, it's not. Okay. Well, there's only one Bible. There's not an Old and a New Testament. Yeshua said in Matthew 5:17, don't think I came to destroy the law or the prophets. I came to fulfill. For as long as there's a heaven and an earth, not one jot or tittle shall be done away with from the law. So now I made my case that the law is not done away with. Let me hear you make yours that the law is done away with. And the prophets are 30% of the Old Testament, roughly, and the New Testament mentioning of the prophecies is basically bringing you back to the Old Testament. And remember, the apostles and Yeshua all preached without a New Testament. So you got to take all of this into account. Okay. Well, I just gave you what, I knew I could give you today, so we just wait and we watch. Pray that we don't lose our electricity and water. I don't know how bad Israel's going to take damage. Not sure. Or if they're going to take any more damage. I don't know. Israel took tremendous damage in the south and the north by the Lebanon border and near Gaza in the south. And we had some fires burning around the north and the south since October 7th. Lost a lot of acreage of produce. I don't know how much more we're going to get. All I know is around the first few days of August 2023, the Lord told me this is the year of recompenses, so we were in it. And I don't know when it started. So it could have started in June or July, I don't know. Or I don't know. But we're coming to the end of it, and I think I'm sensing a change of things here. I think the Lord's backing off on us a little bit. When the wicked get eliminated, I believe, like in Ezekiel 34, for instance, it's going to be done in a way that all will know it's Jehovah. You shall know I am Jehovah. That's a recurring theme in Scripture that I covered yesterday. He's going to restore his name because the nations don't believe in him, because for 2,000 years he turned his back on Israel and let their enemies have at him. That's found in Hosea 6:1 and 2. Well, time's about up right now. So he wants the nations to come to him and serve him and live eternally in heaven. But they need to know he's Jehovah. They don't know what to do. They're into Buddha, the statue Kali of the woman with 8 arms. They're into the Islam. They're into atheism, communism, Satanism, who knows, churchianity, and Messianic congregations, which are just Jewish churchianity, and all this stuff. But he wants them to come to him and Yeshua and the real gospel, not the phony gospel. And that's what he really wants, and that's what he's striving for. So the surviving people need to know that his name is Jehovah, that he is Jehovah. And he's going to deal with the heathen like they never heard. All these storms hitting America, it says the Lord has a controversy with the nations over Zion. The continuing whirlwind, which means a storm or a tempest, is falling on the head of the wicked until it accomplishes what God wants it to accomplish. And you're seeing this in America. They're always turning around every time and telling you about all the storms coming. Nobody talks about it. I do, nobody else. Well, very few people. I don't even know who they are. Go try to find somebody talking about the year of recompenses and the year of redemption and the day of vengeance. You're not going to find. Go look on the internet. Try to find it. You're not going to find it. They're in darkness. All they know is rapture, Gog and Magog, millennium, New Jerusalem. That's all they know. They have no sense of timing, no sense of sequencing. They don't know where they are in prophecy now. They're far from correct. It's too bad. So I guess I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish today. And I didn't have any real Bible study subjects today. Very unusual. I don't know why. I don't feel like I'm under any conviction or anything, so I don't know why. Okay, so please pray for me and my wife for peace, safety, protection, and joy and healing. Pray for our finances. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. Pray for our animals and pets to be happy, healthy, and whole. Please keep praying for my neck. It got a lot better, but it's still out. It hurts. I'm trying to use the red light stuff on it, and it gets better, but it's still not correct, and I'm afraid to try to crack it because the muscles are still taut and pulling it, but it did get a lot better. So please pray my neck heals up. And pray for better videos. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And, you know, if you want me to cover certain subjects, write me. Let me know. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach. And I'm out. Thanks.